Hello guys, in this video we'll be looking at SQL window functions. SQL window functions is an important part of SQL for tackling complex queries, and it is also referred to as analytic functions. We have a couple of SQL window functions, and in this video we'll be looking at a few of them. The first function I will be looking at is the row number function. The row number function is a window function that assigns a sequential integer to each row within the partition of a result set. Before we proceed, you need to get familiar with the syntax. This is what the syntax looks like. The first element here is the window function you want to use, which is row number in this case, followed by an over statement. This over statement is used to tell SQL that you need to create a window of record. Then inside the parentheses we have the partition by. So basically the partition by, for every distinct value present in this particular column, it creates a window for it. Then finally we need to include an order by statement just to order our results in an ascending or descending way. Then I give it an alias of row number. Now I'm using the select statement here to select the sales order ID column, the order date column, and the customer ID column. And I'm applying a window function here. I'm applying the row number window function over partition by customer ID. So I want to create a window for this customer ID for every unique element in this customer ID. It creates a window for it. Then the output, I want it to order by the order by dates in an ascending order, then from the sales order table. So let's execute this query and see what the output looks like. So if you look at the output here, it's telling me the first order. It has created a window for the customer ID. So the first customer ID here is 1100, and it appears 3 times. So it creates a row number column by assigning a unique number for each of the rows. So basically, a very good case study for this is just for you to know that this particular customer, the first order was on 21st of June 2011. Then the next order was on the 20th of June 2013. Then the last order on this particular table is on the 3rd of October 2013. So it goes on and on for every other customer ID on this particular table, and it creates a unique row number for each of them by assigning a sequential integer to each row within the particular partition. I could also do something like, let's say for each customer I want to see the first 2 order. So in that case I would be using a subquery. Let's say I need to select all from the result of the inner query. Let's do something like this. Then I close the parenthesis here. So I'm basically saying select all from this particular from the output of this particular query, where I'm adding a condition. Okay, so I need to give it an alias, let's say x. So I'm now saying where x dot, in this case row number, I want to reference the row number. So where x dot row number is less than 3. So if I run this, I'm basically getting the first 2 order for each customer. So this is a very good example and a very good case study. Let's say the management of your company wants to see the first 2 order for each customer on this particular table. So what this query is doing is it runs the inner query first and gives it the output, then the outer query by adding this condition just to get any row number lesser than 3, that is the first 2 order for each of the customer. Now let's look at another example of a window function which is called rank. The rank function is a window function that assigns a rank to each row in the partition of a result set. It's basic in this particular example, this rank sales based on total due within each customer partition. It's just you getting the sales of each customer, like the number of times the customer made a purchase. You want to get the sales for each of the time a customer made a purchase, and yeah, you want to get the total due in a descending order. So basically, yeah, I'm selecting the sales order id, customer id, total due. In this case, I want to partition based on the customer, and I want to rank them based on their total due, that is the amount of sales they made. So here I'm using the rank function, window function, then the over statement partition by, I want to partition by customer because I want to create a window for the customer id based on their total due. So in this case, order by, I want it to order by total due instead of ordering by dates like I did for row number. So it depends on the case study, and it also depends on the function you are using. That is what determines the column you will be ordering by. So I'm adding the description option just to order it by highest to the lowest. So if I run this query, I'll be having my output as this. So it's still the same window, which is the customer ID. So for the first customer here, it shows that the first order was 33,756, as you've seen here. So it basically assigns a rank of 1, that is, this was the top sale for this particular customer. The second row, it assigns a sales rank of 2, which is according to their sales basically. So this was the first sales, and this was the sales with the highest this was the purchase with the highest sales basically, followed by this and this. So it creates the same thing for every other customer in this particular table. So if you look at this example, the next example that I will be looking at is the dense rank. So the difference between rank and dense rank, it's, let's say you have a particular customer that is having the same sales. Let's say for, like, it has the same sales for the sales rank 2, and it's also have the same sales for the next one. So in that case, it will just assign 2 to each of them, and basically skipping a number. So the next number it will be assigning, it's going to be 4 instead of 3. But for dense rank, basically dense rank is also doing the same thing as sales rank. The only difference is if there is a tie. Let's say there is a particular customer with the same total due, right? So for the dense, it just creates, it gives the same rank to the two rows and skips a rank. So the next rank it will be assigning, instead of 3, would basically be 4. But for dense rank, if there is a tie, it gives each customer, let's say 2 and the next order would be 3. It's not going to skip a number. For the dense, it skips a number. For the rank, basically it skips a number. However, for the dense rank, it doesn't skip a number when there is a tie. The next function we'll be looking at here is the sum function. So the sum function calculates a running total of total due within each customer. It's more like cumulative total. So that is called running total. So I select the sales order ID, the customer ID, the order date, the total due. Then I'm using the sum function here. So here I'm passing in the total due because this particular function requires you to pass in a column. So I'm passing the total due. So it's taking the running total for the total due over the partition of customer ID, and I want it to order it by date. Then I give it an alias of running total. If I execute this query, you would see for the first window, which is the first customer ID, the total due is this. Then the running total will basically be equivalent to this, since there was no previous sales before this. So the next running total would be this plus this. It's basically adding the first two sales together to get the next running total. Then the next one is basically adding this and this together to get the subsequent running total. So that's the same thing. Basically here is just for you to get the total sales for each customer. So I can say this is the total sales for the first customer ID, which is 11000. It will apply the same concept to each of the customer ID, basically, because this is a window. It creates another window for 11001, starting with the first sales. It's also equivalent to this. Then the running total will be this plus this would give us this. Then it's also added to the next sales in that particular window, and it gives us this final number. So basically here it's telling us that this is the total sales made for this particular customer. So the next example that I will be looking at here is the lead and lag window function. So the lead retrieve the next order date for each sales partitioned by each customer. So let's say I want to see I want to display if a customer sales, if the previous customer sales is higher than the subsequent one. So let's run this query. So let's look at the output together. So what this is doing is basically getting the next order dates. So if you look at the first window, which is for the first customer ID, if we look at what we have on the first row, it's basically retrieving the next order ID, which is this particular data, which is on the 20th of June 2013. So it's also for the second row, it's retrieving the next order date for that particular customer ID. However, for the next one, since this particular window ends here, there is no other record for this. It just replaces it as null because there is no other record for this particular window. The next function, which is also the last function we will be looking at, is the lag function. So the lag function retrieves the total of the previous sales within each customer partition. So we are selecting the sales order ID, the customer ID, the total due. Then we are using the lag function, partitioning by the customer ID. Then we want to order it by the order date as the previous order total. So if I run this, so lag and lead are actually word and opposites. So lag is basically getting the previous order total, while lead is getting the next order dates depending on the use case. So in this case, if you look at the first record on this particular window, it's giving us null because there was no previous order total. And for the next one, it's giving us the first for the first total due. Then the next one is also giving us for the previous one. So for the next window, it's basically starts with null because before that there was no customer ID on this particular table. Yeah, so that is just this is just a simple introduction to SQL window function, and it can be more complex than this, and we still have more SQL window functions depending on the use case. If you like this video, like, comment and subscribe. I would see you in the next video. Thank you.